In a quarter mile, turn right onto South 188th Street.
Alright, what's up, guys? Let me turn this down, probably get copyright. Some talking heads. It's goofy. Uh, I drive an older car, so I have CDs in here. I have 2 full binders of CDs that I drive around. So every time I find shit at a thrift store, I just grab it and put in 5 new CDs every day. So anyways, it is confirmed that Burien is outside of Seattle officially on the map, but in DoorDash, it is still applying in terms of their Seattle rules. So that would explain a lot. Again, DoorDash is retarded in so many ways. In some ways, they're great. I'm not hating on everything, but they're definitely retarded sometimes. In many times. And this is also a time in which they also fall into that category. And what's going on is the fact that you're in Burien, yet the Seattle rules are still applying. So you're not getting orders because there's too many people on the road. You're not getting orders because they took away the priority program. And you're not getting orders because there's a $5 fee and people don't want to order anymore. But my main point with the videos I'm making recently is trying to tell you that even though there's less demand for orders in Seattle, it's not by much. It's not by enough to warrant what's happening out here. What's happening out here is so desolate. It is insane. I'm literally right here. I'm at a hot spot. Right when it turned. Aliberto's down here in Burien. And nothing, bro. Nothing. And, that's been the case for me for Burien and for Seattle. I don't know if it's applying to Shoreline, to the North Linwood kind of sector. I haven't been up there, but I can tell you that once you make it down to Kent, which is the next zone down from Burien, then it doesn't apply anymore. Then you're back to normal rules. And so I spent most of the day going down to Kent and to Renton and also the zone further south of the Federal Way zone in Auburn. And I was in Auburn Federal Way for a while. I was around I was around Kent, and I was getting orders, but it was back to the shitty orders. And you know, right now I'm trying to get up to 100 deliveries on the month so I can get top dasher for next month and hopefully get the top orders again. But it's a great flashback back to how it was whenever I left Seattle, because in my experience dashing all around the Seattle area, Seattle's been the best place to dash in terms of high paying orders. West Seattle, the southern Seattle is also decent. West Seattle is pretty good during the dinner shift when it's busy, right? Otherwise, Capitol Hill downtown, probably the best place to be. But since they passed that law and everything changed, you can go back, watch my first 2 videos where I go into detail about this stuff. But basically now it's near impossible to get an order. And all the orders now are high paying, don't get me wrong. And you can easily double your money on some of your orders if you wait long enough. And it sounds terrible, and it is. And it shouldn't be like this. This is something I didn't touch on before, but this is something I've been aware of since the start, because I'm also a customer, and I stopped ordering off of DoorDash as soon as they changed this shit, and I realized it. My last order, I watched the dude do laps around the area where I live. He didn't even take the right street, like 3 chances. He took 4 fucking wrong turns, and I'm just watching this guy on the map just going around in circles, like all the way around where I'm at. And I was like, wait a second. I know what he's doing. he's doing that intentionally. Like, it's clear he's clearly not finishing another order. You know, I don't think he was multi-apping and doing some crazy shit. I guarantee you what he was doing was just burning those miles up, because you get paid 72 cents a mile now, and he's burning those minutes up. You get paid that 42, I think it is, or 44 cents per minute. So he was making sure he was getting his money's worth in, and I don't blame the dude, because he probably didn't have an order for an hour, for 2 hours, and then he got that, and he wanted to make sure he could at least skirt by with $10 an hour, maybe 15. You know, and the whole thing is they're trying to make sure we're getting paid $26.40 an hour before tips and mileage, which is just a joke. I don't think anybody's really making that, bro, unless they're extremely lucky or they found some way to hack the system in order for them to receive orders. Anyways, yeah, I realized that, and then, you know, because the order before that, I was ordering and I saw the dude waiting at the restaurant for ages, and I'm going, I know they're not that slow, bro. I go to this restaurant all the time, Aliberto's. I'm actually at Aliberto's in Burien right now. I go to Aliberto's in Soto all the time, and they're fast as fuck, dude. Like, I'll go in there half the time, order a burrito, and it'll be out before I even grab sauces from the salsa bar, bro. So I saw this dude waiting there for ages, like 20 plus minutes, and I'm going, yeah, they're not that slow. And I was just ordering a burrito. Like, I know they're not that slow. So he was waiting there in order to burn minutes. So you'll wait there before you confirm pickup, or maybe you'll confirm pickup and just continue to wait. That's what I also saw him do. He's slow as fuck to get out of there. And I don't blame him, because we're not making any money, dude. And I'm not the type of person to want to do things to intentionally fuck with people. I always thought it was asinine and horrendous how people would brag on social media about fucking with customers' orders if they didn't tip. I even did a review on the $1 tipper guy. Shout out. You know, I get it, you're being funny, but like at the same time, that's not some shit that I would condone. That's not a behavior, that's not professional, and it's also not good if you want to be doing this full time and you don't want to risk your account getting deactivated. So I tend to avoid doing any kind of things that are unprofessional, including sitting around and waiting. Sitting around and waiting when you don't have to. But I'm just trying to tell you that right now it's in the driver's best interest to take as long as possible to deliver that food to guarantee the most pay. Whereas in the past, you were busting your ass to get there as fast as possible, which had its own risks. Hold up, I got an order. Let's see what's good. Alright guys, so so confirmed Burien is still in DoorDash's Seattle category, where the same Seattle shit applies to Burien, even though technically it's outside of Seattle, so it shouldn't be like that, but it is. So at least that's confirmed now, which makes a lot of sense, because I've been waiting for orders in Burien too, as well. It's been just the same as Seattle, it feels like. But at least now I know that. So now I'm not going to even try to go to Burien. I'm just going to go all the way down to Federal Way and Kent and Federal Way, rather. And so it's good over there. But, so I did spend the majority of my night down in Kent Federal Way, renting areas which are definitely outside of Seattle, where your priority access does apply, so I was receiving a lot more orders down there. But at the same time, the orders were so low paying that, it was just trash either way, right? So I was saying that normally Seattle's the best area for orders, before this law, right? And every time I was out in these areas early, back then, I was usually not getting a lot of high-paying orders, regardless if I was top dash or 70% acceptance rate, whatever. You know, so it's just unfortunate that the best zone that we had has just been taken away from us. You know, and you could argue that you could still, I mean, it's like, it's debatable for me. Is it worth going down to fucking Kent just to make $100 in 8 hours? Or should I just sit around, you know, busting my ass delivery to delivery? Because I was getting delivery after delivery. It was just really shitty deliveries, you know. And, you know, my decline game could have been better, but like I was saying, I was just looking to get my 100 orders in, and I'm doing good on that front. I completed 14 orders tonight, which is a lot better than like 9 hours for like 9 deliveries that happened a couple of days ago in Seattle. And I only need like 5 or 6 more to go to hit that 100 to be top dasher. So hopefully, when I'm top dasher next month, I can go out to those satellite zones and still be able to reel in some decent orders to make it worth my time to try to make, you know, $25 an hour, maybe even upwards of 30, because that's what I was doing before this law was passed on the reg. Like, it wasn't even an issue. It was like, I go out there, I work hard, I make 25 to 30 bucks an hour. Sometimes it would be a little less, sometimes it would be a little more. But after that law has been passed, like I've been saying, and I'll say it again, even though the orders themselves are much higher paying, and I would say upwards of 3 or 4 times as much money that you'll make on a single order now, depending again on how long it's going to take you to deliver that order, because the longer it takes now, the better for you. You know, so take that, you know, however you want. But like, what I'm saying is it more worth it to sit around and get like 1 order per hour maybe on average, or, you know, even if that order is going to get you like 15 or 20 bucks, which is still shitty compared to the minimum wage being 20 bucks an hour. And, you know, the whole time DoorDash and this app delivery shit was supposed to be a leg up on the, you know, basic minimum wage job. It's like, you could just go get a job at McDonald's or something, right? And you can make 20 bucks an hour, right? But like, you're out here busting your ass, you're in traffic, you're driving around, you know, you're dealing with having to go to people's residences. You know, there's a lot greater risk, I feel like, being out here on the streets. And you have to use your own vehicle, and you have to pay for your own gas. So, like, naturally, you would expect that pay rate to be a leg up on that normal menial labor job. So, that's kind of how it was advertised from the start. It was like, sign up for DoorDash, work on your own hours, be your own boss, etc. Make $18 to $22 per hour. Like, that was back when Seattle's minimum wage was $15 an hour, which at the time was the highest minimum wage in the country. And, you know, that had been bumped up pretty drastically from like people making, you know, 12 or 13 bucks an hour, and then they're making 15. Like, that was great. But DoorDash was supposed to be a leg up on that. Now it's 20 bucks an hour, you know. And if it really was, they were going to give us $26.40 an hour before tips, you'd be like, all right, that makes sense. Like, that's the leg up on the minimum wage job. But unfortunately, the way it's played out is, you know, you're lucky to make 15 an hour now doing this shit. And it's exactly that. It's just all up to luck. Because if you don't get those orders in, you don't make any money. So it's just a tough decision, man. It's like, do I just wait around in Seattle and just wait for orders and like fall asleep in my car and fucking twiddle my thumbs and play crossword puzzles, or do I fucking go out and be busy and actually feel like I'm working and like getting shit done, but I'm only making, you know, 12 bucks an hour. You know, I think I could do better than that out in those satellite zones, but still, man, like, it's pretty defeating, depending, you know, given the amount of miles I've driven today which had to have been like 60, 70 plus, probably more, dude, probably more than that, bro. Could have cranked out 80 miles today, and only making $100. You know, I've already burned through half a tank of gas. I filled up my gas at the beginning of the day, so it's crazy, bro. Fucking crazy. All right, guys, testing out this screen record thing. I'm gonna take you into my app. You can see today I was out 9 hours on the dash time, which is how long I've been ready to receive orders on the app. And 4 hours 39 minutes active time. That's the time I'm actually on an order, which they don't. I don't know when it starts to calculate that, if it's when you are like delivering it or when you're starting to move to the restaurant after you accepted the order or not. But either way, there was a lot of downtime today too, even though I was busy for a lot of the day, because I started out the day in Seattle and Burien, where there was, really, really long wait times between orders. But I did make it down to Kent and Federal Way for a good chunk of that. I was able to get in 14 deliveries, which is great. I'm up to like 96 or 94 or 95 on the month, so that hopefully I can hit that top dasher status for next month. Guarantee me some better orders. But yeah, it was a pretty shitty day for in terms of tips. You can see, I can move this a little bit so you can see that first dash, got some that or see, this was in Seattle still, so you could see that the adjusted pay, that's when they're gonna hit you up with that $26.40 an hour guaranteed minimum, which really just means that when you're on an order, they're gonna calculate that time as the time you're clocked in. But as you can see here, even from this dash where I was getting a lot of orders because I was outside of Seattle, there's a lot of downtime, so that's not gonna factor into your $26.40 an hour. So you could pretty much just cut that in half. For real, because you don't get paid when you're not getting orders. But anyways, that first order, you can see they gave me an extra $3.50, which made like a $10 order, which already is pretty solid, into a $13.50 order, which is a pretty solid order. It was pretty far. It was pretty far order, but is what it is. And then I'm out of Seattle, so there's no adjusted pay on this second order I got here. And anyways, hop into the next one. We're looking at this one was just a dope tip. So there you go. That was a really good order. If I had like multiple orders like that, it would have been really legit, but like unfortunately I just got the one. But that was a kick-ass order. A $16 tip on a big seafood order. Really appreciate that, and that's makes any dasher really happy to complete that order for you. That's a $21 order on that. That is really nice. And then there's a Wingstop order here with no tip. So for all the orders you get really good tip, you're gonna get an order with a really bad tip or a no tip, and it is what it is. Some of your orders are going to be great tips. Some of your customers aren't going to tip you at all. And unfortunately, the way things are going with DoorDash, especially in Seattle area, those tips are getting lower and lower because the customers now think that we're making enough money from the new law, from the new hourly rate, that they don't need to tip us now. And on top of that, they don't want to tip us because they're already paying an extra $5 on top of the fees that are already there to get that order delivered to them. So even though this was outside of Seattle, there was no tip. I don't know the extent of how that is influencing the areas outside of where this law is, but you do get customers from time to time, several a day, that are going to not tip you. It just is what it is. That was a $7 order with a $0 tip. But let me tell you something, because DoorDash was known for stealing tips in the past, and they apparently cleaned up their act. But if you watch some of my older videos from like last year, I went into this showing that in fact that wasn't the case. They might have stopped overtly stealing the tips, dipping their hand into your tip jar, but now what they're doing is if you get a fat tip, they're going to reduce that base pay. You can see down here where it says DoorDash pay, base pay. Say that customer had tipped me like $5, I guarantee you that base pay would be like $5. It'd still be better that they tipped me $5 than none, but you know, I would have made maybe only another $3 on that order. This is an estimation of what I've seen. It could be worse. It could have been like $4 that they were gonna pay me, so it could have been $9. So that's pretty crazy to me. I mean, that's to me is still the same basic idea that they're trying to reduce the amount they pay you if there's a higher tip. I mean, for example, I've had for example, I've had orders that went far more distance in this Wingstop order, and it had a $10 customer tip, so the base pay on that order only ended up being like $3 or $4. It could have even been worse. I don't remember, but I do remember that it was significantly lower than the distance and the time and the distance or whatever calculations they use for that base pay. It would have been higher had they not tipped me, but because it's a $10 tip, they paid the absolute minimum, and I ended up earning on that order only like 13 or $14, which is still nice. But I'm just saying, with the $10 tip, you would expect at least like 16, 17, $18. I mean, if I'm saying it's going farther than the $7 order, they should pay me for whatever it's going to be, and then the tip should be on top of that. But that's not how it works. Anyways, next one, McDonald's. Got the $5.50 tip on that. That's a solid order right there. Any McDonald's customer gonna tip me $4.50. That's appreciated, man. Because McDonald's is not like usually not super expensive orders, but that's a fat McDonald's tip. KFC coming through with this was a double order, so yeah. So this is two orders, $9.25 total. You can see $4 tip and $1 tip. Pretty average stuff right there, nothing fancy. So that's eight. Wait a second. Okay, yeah. So the base pay, you could divide that by two. So it's really weird because that's an instance where you would expect to get paid more than $2 from DoorDash to do that. One of them was going pretty far. The other one was close. One of them was far, but they only pay me $4.25 for the base pay for both of them. So that, to me, is super low because I would expect at least $4.25 for that one far order. But anyways, that's just kind of is what it is, man. Usually the tips constitute more percentage of your pay than the actual what DoorDash is paying you. You can see that's not the case here today, because a lot of low tips, and also because of the couple orders that were inside the city where they had to shell out more. But if you go back and you look at my old videos, it's often always the case that the customer tip is either just about equal or even more than the actual pay that is coming from DoorDash. So we really do rely on the tip to get to that $25 an hour rate that is seemed to be pretty average before all this shenanigans went down. Moving on to some more orders here. I got some. This is a nice order from Ambrosia QSR Burger LLC, which is actually yeah, I think that's a Burger King. So they had the pin in the wrong place. They had me go into this Walmart, which was like on the complete opposite side of the mall. I show up there, I'm like, is there a Burger King inside of the Walmart? I've never seen this before. Of course there isn't. And I Google map it and realize that the Burger King's on the other side. I'm like, dude, why would the address be bringing me here to Walmart? So they definitely got to change that. Wasted a lot of time, and there was no adjustment time here outside of Seattle for you waiting on the order. So it ate into my earnings quite a bit. Had to drive back to the Burger King, get the order, and then they won't even let you confirm the delivery because you're too far from the restaurant where they think the restaurant is, right? Because they thought it was in the wrong place. So I had to contact support, and because otherwise you're just gonna have to drive all the way back to wherever they thought it was at to confirm that delivery. So I had to wait on hold for a while, had to get the guy to confirm it, and then finally delivered the order to the customer. But that was a fat tip. That's appreciated. You know, a $5 tip. I mean, it's not like the biggest tip, but like that's a solid tip, and that's gonna keep me going. You know, it's these low tips, like a $2 tip. That is what it is. A small order. I'm not mad about a $2 tip. It's still a tip. The only tips that I'm start thinking is like, as like, bro, it's like a $0 tip. That's pretty much it. $1 at least means they still thought that they still wanted to help you a little bit, right? Here's another pretty solid order from Target, right? And the shopping orders always give you more money, so that's $8 on the shopping. I only had to grab one item, uh, so that's a solid order, right? And moving on, here's a really shitty order. And I did decline a few. You know, I had a few like this that I declined, but I grabbed this because I was like, man, I got to get my orders in. So $3.75 on that one, taqueria. It was just like a burrito, but like, man, slide me a buck or two, bro. It's not that hard. $0 on the tip, and they also asked me to do extra shit on this order. They wanted extra hot sauce, and I'm thinking like, first of all, guys, if you order on DoorDash and you need something extra, don't put it in the delivery instructions, because the delivery instructions, most people aren't gonna read those until they're on the road heading to you. You might argue and say, "Oh, best practice, always read them." Like, I try to read them, okay, but like, reality is most people aren't gonna fucking read that shit until they're dropping off your food. They're gonna look and they're gonna read, okay, how do I deliver? You know, what's the special instructions for the delivery? So if you put in delivery instructions, especially if you don't put it at the front where you're gonna see it, unless you actually open it up, right? So this is what the customer did. They were like, "Here's the gate code. Here's the, please leave it at the door of this apartment." And then at the end of all that, they said, and please grab extra hot sauce. Thank you. And I'm like, bruh, I didn't even see that. I'm not going to go. And first of all, I'm not going to go back. I'm already, I was probably, a mile or two down the road. I'm not going to turn back and grab your extra hot sauce you know, just for a $3 order with the $0 tip. Like, come on, bro. If you tip me a couple of bucks, I would think about it, But and I'm a nice guy. I go out of my way a lot of the time, to the point where it hurts me to go back to restaurants and shit like that. Like, if they mess up somebody's order, like, I've done it before. I've gone back. They miss, people, they've forgotten stuff, and sometimes, I mean, you try to check everything, but sometimes you don't know, and it's locked up in the bag or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, they forgot my thing," and I feel bad, so I'm like, "Hold up, man. Let me go see what I could do." So I'll call up the restaurant. I'll tell them what happened, and most of the time, they'll be happy to make that item that they miss. I'll go back. I'll pick it up, and I'll go drop it off free of charge. And most of the time, though, the customer realizes I went out of my way, and they'll tip me and give me a good rating, and for me, that's worth it. But on a $3 order with no tip, hell no am I going back to grab extra hot sauce. I mean, there was already 2 hot sauce things in the bag. It's like, how much hot sauce do you need for one burrito? I almost thought, because I keep a bunch of Taco Bell and like KFC hot sauces on stock, just in case I want to eat something and they don't have hot sauce or whatever, or if I need hot sauce for a customer from a Taco Bell or some shit like that. But I almost thought about dropping a bunch of like hot sauces from Taco Bell on their doormat, but I was like, nah, dude, don't do that. That'd be not a good look. I don't think they would. There's a chance they would appreciate it, but there's probably a better chance that they would think that was weird. So I did not do that. But anyways, yeah. So if you're gonna inquire for extra items, what you want to do is, number one, try to put it in the notes for the merchant, for the restaurant. If they have like instructions, special instructions for any of the items you're ordering, put it in there. So you want extra hot sauce. And it's not guaranteed, dude. The restaurant workers are the same as us, bro. They're not going to see it all the time. I've ordered countless times from Aliberto's, and I like hot sauce, so I'm always like, I want extra hot sauce, right? I do the same shit, but I put it in the merchant instructions. And half of the time, they don't fucking hook me up at all, bro. They never hook me up, bro. They do a couple of times they hooked me up, but that was about it. I basically just, resigned myself to the fact that if I want extra hot sauce, I'm just gonna have to go in and place the order in person. All right. So there's that, and then the other thing, if you really need it, don't put it in the in the drop-off instructions. Send a message through the in-app messaging system to your dasher when they're waiting for your order. When it shows that your dasher's been assigned to your order, and that it shows that they're waiting for your order, that means they're at the restaurant. That's the perfect time to hop on that messaging service and request and say, hello, could you please grab some extra hot sauce? 9 times out of 10, that's easy. I will, 10 times out of 10, if I'm there, I'll fucking do it. I'm saying 9 times out of 10 because a lot of people on here, like, no disrespect, but I know for a fact a lot of people on here don't speak a lot of English, right? So they might not understand what you're saying. They might be able to put it through Google Translator, though. That's just one thing. A lot of people probably not willing to go out their way to do stuff like that, but I'm just saying, your best bet, if you want extra hot sauce, you want extra anything, you want an extra cup, I had one guy one time hit me up at a Wingstop thing, and he was like, let me get an extra tray. It was like he wanted some weird, like, extra food tray or something. I'm like, okay. So I asked the people there, and they're like, we don't have that. Like, it wasn't food tray. Like, it wasn't like a box. It was like, they wanted some, like, weird item that they didn't even have, bro. And he called me, and he was like, and I was like, I called him back, and I was like, hey man, they just say they don't have that. Are you talking about like a drink carrier? Like, are you talking about like what do you need, like an extra? So he was like, yeah, this thing. I don't remember what it was. It sounds kind of dumb now, but at the time it was like, it wasn't a box. It wasn't like a drink tray. It wasn't like, so and I don't know if he wanted like plates or something. So I literally had them grab every item they had, plates, utensils, drink trays, and yeah, a couple other items. And I just got all of that shit, and I fucking dropped it all off with the order, just in case, you know. But anyways, that's beside the point. So just text your dasher when they're there. That's the best chance of them hooking you up with extra items. Okay. Okay, that's enough of that. $4.75 on this McDonald's order with $1 tip, and $8.25 on my last order with the no tip, and that was unfortunate. But rounding off the day here, 9 hours in, 14 deliveries, which is good for me because I need to hit that hundo. 3 days left, and gonna divide that real quick. Let's see what we got here. So 115 divided by 9, it's a fat 1270 per hour. And yeah, I mean, not great, not great. And I drove. Actually, let me look real quick. I drove a lot. I drove. Oh my God, I drove 119 miles. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. 119 miles, dude. Ridiculous, bro. That's a lot of miles for any day, bro. And honestly, bro, I've made over $300 a day before doing this shit, and I probably didn't drive 120 miles. An average day, 60, 80 miles. I'm talking pre-law, right? Pre-shenanigans. 60, 80 miles to make $200+. If you're not making over $2 per mile, it's really shitty, in my opinion. You want to shoot for over $2 per mile. That should be your bare minimum. 120 miles, dude, to make $115. That wasn't even $1 per mile, bro. That is really, really bad. Really bad. $12 per hour, $12.70. And here's DoorDash claiming that they're gonna guarantee us 24.60 an hour before, or was it, no, it was 26.40 an hour before tips and mileage, bro. That's just not happening, bro. That is just not the case. And you know, yeah, in all matters, I'm better off just grabbing a job at a McDonald's flipping burgers. At least then, if I work 9 hours at a McDonald's, right, $20 an hour here in Seattle, that's minimum wage, right? $180. I would have made $180, and I wouldn't have had to put any miles on my car. And also, the tax situation is way more in my favor for that W-2 job. And I wouldn't have to pay for gas. I mean, 120 fucking miles, bro. What does my car get? About 20 something miles per gallon. Let's say it's like 20 city, probably like, I'm giving it a little, so let's say it's 22, right? 22 miles per gallon. So 22 miles, I'm gonna fucking make a fool of myself with this math, but gas right now is costing about $4 a gallon, right? So let's say that $4 a gallon, right? So 22 miles per gallon, and each gallon is $4. So how do I do this? 22 miles per gallon, each gallon is $4. So $4 is gonna take me 22 miles. So we want to do 22 miles. So we have 120 miles divided by 22. Is that how we do this? That's 5.4. Let's see if I'm doing this shit right. 120 divided by 22 miles per gallon. So that should be the amount of gallons that I used, right? And then we times that times 4 is like 20. So yeah, that makes sense, right? Because I used about little less than half a tank. So that's about $20 in gas. So I'm making, 115 divided by 9. I'm making $12 an hour. I make $115. I minus $21 for gas. I make $94. And then you want to divide that by 9. That's $10 per hour. I think I did that right. So $10 per hour, $10.40 per hour, bro. That's really bad. That's half of the minimum wage. That's half of minimum wage. And I was outside of Seattle for the majority of that day. This is just really sad, man, because I will keep you guys updated, because I'm still sticking with it, man. I'm gonna wait it through, because I have hopes that this shit is gonna improve, that they're gonna change some stuff, and we're gonna be able to get this back to where it was before, and hopefully even a little bit better than that, because that was their intention in the first place, was to make it better than it was before. But I'm gonna still try to hustle outside of Seattle and see how good I can do outside of Seattle, because in the past it was my objective to be the best that I could be at this gig, make as much money as I could, and show you on YouTube what you were capable of if you signed up to do this gig, what you could expect, and the kind of situations you would expect to get yourself in. So I'm pretty transparent. You can go back, you can watch my old stuff, you can see that I was making like a 25 an hour pretty much on average. Some days I was killing it with like 30 plus. When it's super busy on a dinner shift, I was making like 40, 50 an hour, sometimes sustaining over 2 or 3 hours for the dinner shift. That was pretty killer, but they've just taken it all away from us at this point. They've completely taken it all away from us. If you want to look into, so I started this back up a couple weeks ago, and you can see some of my other weeks here. Like for example, here's basically a 40-hour week, right? 38 hours, 36 minutes of dash time. 38 hours, 36 minutes of dash time. That's pretty close to a 40-hour week. And I made $580, which, honestly, you know, it's not terrible. At least I still made a little bit of money, you know, but I'm out there for 40 hours basically, putting in work. You know, what's 40 hours times 20, 800. So I'm coming up short of that minimum wage by quite a bit. You know, also remember that gas, you're gonna have to minus probably 100 plus bucks for gas, right? So it's not looking very good. Honestly, we're kind of looking at about half a minimum wage still. Probably just over half a minimum wage. And this was, you know, a 38-hour dash time with the 12-hour, basically 13-hour active time. So that means I was only on an order for like 23, 13, 26, 39, for about a third of the time, right? So about a third of the time I was actually working. The rest of the time, you know, I'm driving around trying to get work. That does not make any sense. That is terrible. And people should understand. And let me just real quick, I'll show you the first week. This one was actually better. I think I did better that first week. Only 27 hours, 5 minutes in to make that 580. 12 hours, 32 minutes active time. But see, again, the difference here had the same active time and the same pay, which makes sense, right? Because they're doing that 12.40 an hour type of deal, which only hits you when you're on an order. So that would make sense that the pay and the hours active would be the same. The difference here is I waited a hell of a lot longer to get orders that second week than I did the first week. You know, but yeah, man, 41 deliveries. The 37. So it's pretty similar in terms of the actual work I did. It was just waiting a lot longer between orders the second week. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna keep you guys posted. I'm still trying to do the best I can. Hopefully, the next couple weeks will be a lot better because, excuse me, because I'll have Top Dasher, and also I'm not gonna just be going for orders just to get my order volume up. I'm just gonna go for higher pay, so I'll be declining a lot more orders. That's a 4.91 customer rating. I've got everything greened out, bro. I'm in the green in all my stats. Like, I'm proud of that because, you know, there's a lot of times that I was not in the green for all my stats. But, like, dude, 91% on time, bro. Like, that's solid. 100% completion. I'm not unassigning from shit. 93% acceptance, bro. I'm accepting, like, 9 out of 10 orders, bro. And a 4.91 customer rating. Thanks to somebody left me 1 star. Honestly, I give people the benefit of the doubt because I can't think back to anything that I really did specifically wrong. Maybe there was something that I did that I didn't see that happened, but it could have been they were pissed because the food contents, you know, the merchant might have missed something. They took it out on me. Maybe it was something like they expected it to be faster, but I had to wait at the restaurant for hella long. You know, it could have been a number of things. It could have been because that rating thing pops up real quick on your phone after your order. They might have just hit their screen and hit a 1 star by accident. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. That's not out of the question. You know, that shit could happen. The fact that I only have 2 1-star ratings out of the last 100 ratings, I think is pretty damn good. Okay? I've had 5.0 ratings a lot of the time. It's just a matter of time before those 1 stars work themselves out of the system and I get back to those 5.0. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.